everybody, welcome back. This is Patty Hall with Get Balanced 2020, and we're on series 2. Actually, this is part 2 of a series. But there's actually 2-part series for 2 parts, but it's on basically soulmates and how we are in our singleness and how we can find our soulmate and what a soulmate is. Is there really such thing as a soulmate? And if you haven't been ever on Get Balanced 2020, I thank you for showing up. Really quickly, what Get Balanced 2020 is all about is basically teaching people how to put mind, body, and spirit together. And what I mean by that is our mind is our thought processing. Our spirit is actually where everything gets its roots from. It's from our heart. It's from what we believe in, what we've been taught and trained. But most of all, the spirit comes from a place that we cannot even explain, whether you believe in God or creator, the universe, whatever. That's where spirit comes from, and that's where we make our decisions from. We actually our spirit speaks to our soul, which is basically our head and everything. And that's where we get our spirit, where we get our decisions from, where we make our choices from and things like that. And that's all based on from the roots. And you can watch that, Getting Back to the Roots, on my 4-part series on my YouTube channel. But today, what we're talking about is actually soulmates, or is it a mate for your soul, or is it a soul tie, those kind of things. How to have a soulmate, or if you already have one, that kind of thing. So if you need to look at some of the videos before, would like to, please do so. You can go to my YouTube channel, and if you're on YouTube right now, please like, share, and subscribe. If you go on my Facebook, please like and share, because you can also get inspiration and motivation, everything like that, on my Facebook as well. But today we're going to finish up with part 2. So if you didn't get to see part 1, I'll recap real quick because I don't want to go into that. You can watch that video. But just for those that are showing up that you have watched 1 and you're just sort of like, what was that about? Let me go ahead and recap for you, all right? So let's get started. So on the first series, what we talked about was singleness. If you're single, it's okay. If you don't want a relationship, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with being single. And we talked about that and how singleness works and how it's best for people that sometimes aren't meant on this earth to be in a relationship. Their focus, it's where you're focused. And when we are single, we can focus on ourselves, our spirit, what we believe in, what we need for our lives, and things like that. We talked about that. We talked about the difference between when we guard our heart, because that's the number one thing anything on this earth wants, or anything in the unseen wants. They want your heart, because that's where the soul is. That's where your spirit is. And if they can take that away, they know that they can be destructive. It can be harmful and devastating. Whereas if it's a good thing, then we want to make sure that our heart is protected so we can have all the positives and benefits of our life the way that we were intended to have. Okay, so when we talked about that, we talked about either putting a wall up or actually keeping a gate. So if you put a wall up, it doesn't allow you to let anything or anybody in. Wrong way of doing something. You have to know yourself, your self-awareness, and leave a gate there and allow certain people, certain things in, and shut that when you don't want them into your space, your heart, your chakras, and all that kind of stuff. We talked about now when it comes to spirit, how a soulmate is presented to you. Not you go find it and manipulate how other people to get into your life. It's a coincidence, or I don't even believe in coincidences. It's a divine intervention that 2 people meet. It's not like, oh, I'm going to go, I like that guy, I'm going to see him. He works 8 to 5, I'll be there 9 o'clock. You'll figure things out to actually draw that person in. Soulmates, soul ties are a divine intervention that actually happens through the universe, whatever you believe in, energies and things like that. It's not one you seek out. And it will happen. You just have to let that timing come into place. It is all about timing. And that's what we talked about there too. We talked about what is the spirit, because it all starts from the spirit. And so what is a spirit? We talked that a spirit is about your mind, emotions, your will, your imagination, your affection. All that is what the spirit contains. And those things we talked about in that also. We also talked about what a soulmate is and what it isn't. So a soulmate isn't just somebody to keep company with and hang with and do whatever with. A soulmate comes into your life, or a mate for your soul, whichever way you want to put it, comes into your life for a need and a purpose, for, if you want to call it an assignment or your purpose in life or your soul driven life, whatever you want to call it, but they come into us for our own needs. And our needs are basically what our weakness is, they're our strength. So if we want honesty in our life, we look for somebody with good integrity, high integrity, those kind of things. We want sort of the yin and yang balance. And that's what a soulmate does. It's not just somebody to hang with, keep company. Oh, they complete me. They make me feel good. That's not what it's about whatsoever. Okay. So that's what we talked about. The other thing we started to end with was to walk in your truth. Because once you have self-awareness of yourself, you're able to go ahead and find out really what you need, what your intent is, what is your future intent, what is your current intent. So maybe you want somebody to hang with, and that's currently only what you want. That intent needs to go to the person that maybe want to be seeking you. So you need to be clear with that. Walking in the truth, not playing a game. This is not chess. This is, well, you could call it chess, I suppose, but in all reality, it is not. This is something where if you want to gain to get to your soulmate or your mate for your soul quickly, then you need to follow what you need for yourself, stand by it, focus in on it, and go with it, and allow it to present, that person to present when that timing is perfect. We talked about timing, how timing is really important. We talked about that in the past. We talked about how one person might be here, one person might be here, and even though you guys are soulmates, we have to work, or whatever the divine is doing, to be able to gradually come and get us prepared or unprepared, whatever we've gone through, and then we meet. So that's what we talked about. Be yourself. If you have to walk on eggshells, if you have to sit there and tippy toe around somebody, you are in the wrong relationship. That is not love. That is not a soulmate. That is not what your spirit has intended for you to do, because it's always constructive and a blessing, and a lifting up of somebody is where it has to be. If they're not, they're pushing you down. In abuse cases, they're pushing you down. It's a control. It's a manipulation. It's like, I want you to be the way that I want you to be, and this is the way it is. That is not a soulmate. We ended in that, right? So, and if you need more of that, then please go back and watch video 1, because those are some of the key elements that come up to this point where we're talking to right now. And that's where we're going to start at, is we started to talk about broken relationships versus broken people. And we ended it with that there is no such thing as a broken relationship. It's a broken person. So, well, I'm getting a divorce, we just, don't get along anymore. That's the issue with that person, that they haven't taken the time to sit there and figure out themselves, what is it in this relationship that I am not contributing, or I am contributing too much to make it the situation that it is. It is work, people. It is work. When you are in the wrong relationship, it is a lot of work. A lot more work than if you were waiting and being patient and allow that soulmate to be presented, so that you can actually just meld together the way that the universe or God or Allah or whoever you believe in is meant to be. Because that's what it is. It's a unity. It's a complete unity. I'm weak here, you're strong here. I'm strong here, you're weak here. It's a unity. And that's why they call marriage, because you've got a unity, a oneness. And that's what soul ties, as told soulmates be. Soul ties. Let me explain really quick, because if you missed the video before, soul ties, if you hook up with somebody, especially women, if you hook up with somebody, for a one night stand or whatever it is. You're actually coming together, two bodies as one. And as females, we're very, very emotional beings. Guys are not as much. I'm not saying that there's some that aren't, but it's a sexual need for most men. But for women, it's an emotional need. But when you come together as one, that is a soul tie. Whether you like it or not, you have just tied those two souls together. Because if you go back to any faith, what happens when you get married? You consummate the marriage. That becomes one. If you talk about a three-stranded cord, we talk about me, you, and God in the center, and that is a unity. So when you soul tie and hook up with this person, that person, whatever person, 10 persons, 5 persons, million persons, you've done those soul ties, and it actually takes a little piece of you away. Rather than saving that all for your actual soulmate and basically allowing that to completely flourish. But that's all I'm going to say about that, because that's a whole other topic that we're not really talking about right now today. So basically, the brokenness that you're coming into this relationship with is about you. So if you're arguing and fighting, each person in that relationship needs to step back, whether it's a love relationship, family relationship, work relationship. You're fighting with somebody at work, you don't like somebody at work, you need to step back. But if both of the people aren't doing it, you're going to get one that's doing all the work and the other one doesn't give it, and so you're not going to be able to come to the middle of something if you're both not realizing it and working on it. And that takes communication. So that does take communication. So when we're looking at ourselves in brokenness, we have to go back to the spirit. What is broken in me that I need to go ahead, and maybe this is my weakness and I didn't realize it, but that other person sees it. Sometimes we don't see what we're doing in a relationship or anything. And sometimes we need to step back and sort of humble ourselves and say, really, I did this to my daughter last night. I said, what is the weakness in me that you see? And I asked to be completely 100% honest, whether I like the answer or not. She knows that she will give me the honest answer. So she gave me my weakness and my strength. And I'm like, I don't see myself that way, but I have heard that many times. So why wouldn't I pay attention to that and maybe analyze that in with myself and maybe work on that? So I will do that. I am a stubborn person, and that stubbornness comes from earth, ego, and that is a dark thing. We need to let it go. Let it go. So maybe that's something I need to find somebody that is understanding and not stubborn, the opposite. We want to find somebody who's the opposite. So your brokenness is in yourself. It is not in the relationship. So if you can understand that, that is really, really important, because when you start working on yourself, you'll be able to see where your weaknesses are, and that actually will help you grow and become more strong in that. And not only that, you'll probably help the other person without even knowing it, or they're going to see you in a different light, like, wow, they're really working on themselves. And so when we come to that, that's what that is about. But when we also look at that, we also have to, when we're thinking about a soulmate or moving into a relationship with anybody, what is the intent of that relationship that we're moving into? So you've met your soulmate, or you've met somebody that you think is your soulmate. Okay, what is that intent? You will be able, I'm going to give you here some criterias, 5 criterias of what soulmates are really about and what you would look for in a soulmate. But the thing is, when you sit there and you begin to butt heads, even from the get-go, you have to realize that it's probably not a soulmate. And what you want to do is what you really, really, really do not want is think, okay, well, they're not quite my soulmate, but they make a good life mate. Or, we're talking about life mates, classmates, workmates, all that kind of mates. You don't want to settle. Oh, I'll never find anybody. They're really nice. They treat me well. It's not really what I'm looking for, but, maybe they'd make a good life mate. So what you're thinking, which we talked about earlier. Expectations, this is in a different video. Expectations plus reality equals frustration. It also equals unhappiness. It equals all the blah, 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 negative stuff. Because here's the thing, even if I think that person's a soulmate, maybe that person doesn't. But maybe we both think we're soulmates, but the intent is different. I want marriage. I don't want marriage. So you got some things that you have to work out. But the other thing is, if you're soulmates, your intents are probably the same. You're probably very much on the same page, and you probably are, your thinking patterns, your values, your morals, and all that kind of stuff are probably pretty much melded together, because that's what you might hear people that are in the they talk about the universe. They'll talk about twin flame. Okay, twin flame means you're a female, you're a male, and you, whatever you do, this person does. It's almost like what do you call that? Oh, help me out there. A copy of yourself, but only in a different sex. And so that's what a twin flame is. So, and they say everybody has a twin flame out there. So when we say everybody has a soulmate, I say there's always a mate for your soul. And so those are the things that you should be able to just easily meld together. It's like you've met, but you've known each other all your life. And it's like, where have you been? Kind of thing. All right. So that's what that is. So what we want to make sure is that the person that, when you sit there and think of a mate for your soul or your soulmate, what we want to actually think about is that this person is safe for my soul. Take a second and take that in. That person is safe for my soul. So what that means is that I can be myself. I can walk in truth. I can, not saying do anything bad or destructive. I'll get some beautiful birds outside my window. Sorry. It's just that you are safe. You feel comfortable, safe at home. You've known each other. You know that person has your back, is going to support and stand up for you, and you're going to stand up and support for them. And anybody that comes between you, it's basically, you are one. So basically, that is what you mean by safe for my soul. And that's what basically a soulmate will bring. And also, when you're a soulmate, you actually bring into it that the relationship, and if you believe in the higher powers, the relationship is blessed. It is given everything positive that it can. Things will begin to unfold, harvest. It will blossom. All the light lifting elements, also in love and joy and all that kind of stuff. Now, if it's not a soulmate, and you go and you manipulate it and try to find it, and it's going to work, and he loves me, I love him, that kind of thing. Love is actually a choice, but the thing is that you're struggling, you're fighting, and it's really not supposed to be there. It's not supposed to happen. So you will have more work, and maybe it will work out, but it won't be as joyous and